You're listening to Sports Star Podcasts. In this brand new series where we revisit some of India's most cherished cricketing victories, we start at the country's first ever win in Test cricket. In this episode, we go back 70 years to a historic moment at the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai, where after 20 years and 24 Test matches, Vijay Hazare captained India to its first win in the format, beating England on February 10, 1952. Coimbatarao Doraikannu Gopinath is the only surviving member of that Indian side, and he sat down for a freewheeling chat with Sports Star's Ayanacharya, taking us back in time to his own challenges in making it to the Indian Test team, that memorable win, and how Indian cricket itself changed thereafter.
I'd like to begin this interview on a slightly retrospective note. It's been 7 decades now since India beat England here at Chepauk. Indian cricket, as we know it, has made giant strides since then, both on and off the field. So, if you were to assess the achievement of you and your team in 52 through the prism of Indian cricket now, how would you do that?
I would put it this way. When we went into a test match in those days, we even as players didn't have a great expectation about how we were going to fare. In the sense, we would quite often say, if we can draw the match here, it's great for us. Because we were at that time definitely underdogs. And we didn't have the confidence or the courage to say we will beat these people, and particularly England, because they'd played 100 years before that, and they knew the game, they knew the way it's played. For us, okay, we had learnt from them when they came in, but the big difference is in 52 when we won that match, even to us it was a great surprise.
Correct.
And therefore, it was so much, we were so excited and happy that we achieved something. And probably for the first time, we said, yeah, we can beat another team that's stronger than us. So there was a new way of thinking. In this connection, I'll tell you, some time ago, this is a few years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, somebody from England rang me up from there, and they wanted to come here, bring a team from there, and do a documentary or movie sort of documentary of that test match.
Okay.
So I said, I mean, surely you're not going to come here to do one test match.
Yeah.
I mean, either a series or a... They said, no. I said, what is your... They said, no, we regard this match as the turning point of Indian cricket history.
Yeah.
That's the way they put it to me. And so for us, that is the turning point.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to do that particular test. And in fact, in a rather amusing note, I said, who are the others you're going to interview? They said, no, there's nobody else left from that team. So you're the only one. Oh, I said, in that case, it's great because I can say anything I want. There'll be no contradictions on whatever I say. Anyway, so what I'm saying is, as they put it, which I didn't think of at that time, they considered that as the turning point of Indian cricket.
Yeah.
Because, and frankly, I think it was because for us to sense a feeling that we can beat somebody like England was a great feeling of confidence and feeling saying, yeah, we can also do this. Up to then, wherever we went, wherever we played, we were, okay, we started the match, we walked into the game as a losing side. And that is one thing. The other thing was, what is compared to now and then is, if you look at it honestly, in those days, in my time and before my time and so on, we had great cricketers. But frankly, from what I've gathered from older cricketers like Lala Manad and various people, was we never played as a team. We were, okay, look at it in one way, our country comprises of, in the old days before the British came in, several smaller pockets. And for instance, you tell me, what is common between a man from Punjab and a man from Kerala? Nothing.
Yeah.
He doesn't wear the same kind of dress. He doesn't have the same kind of food. He doesn't speak the same language. He doesn't even think on the same kind of lines. So we were like we could never imagine that this is our country. I mean, this was virtually brought in at a later date.
Yeah.
And frankly, after our independence, 47, even when we played this 52 and all that, it was very difficult for anybody to, we always had our parochial, in fact, I used to be called a Madrasi, almost contemptuous, like saying, why are you playing cricket? I mean, it's not your, So what I'm saying is, there was a war, and it was only about 5 years after we got independence, and we didn't get together as a team and as a side as a country. So it was a big difference. What I love to see now is that we play as a country. Okay, in many areas of business or various other things, we are still divided, and but luckily, I would say, sport seems to have brought us together. And today, it doesn't matter. I mean, I could not imagine that in the 50s or early 60s, somebody like Dhoni can come into the picture and captain this country. It was unimaginable. But now we have done this, and every nook and corner of India, no matter which strata of society they come from, they are there. Yeah. I mean, you saw this last test match in Australia. I mean, boys from little village in Tamil Nadu, a chap from Hyderabad, unknown, different strata in life, all together. Yeah. So we have, at least in sport, we have grown into one country, which is a great sense of, I think I'm so glad about it, because as I said, we in the past, we went, we had lovely cricketers, we had great, you see, we were naturally quick on our feet, unlike the English. Yeah. English were slow. We were quick on our feet. We had enough up here, grey matter, to be able to cope with things and so on. But we never played together. Yeah. That was our biggest bane. And in fact, I can tell you, when I went to England in 52, I was one of 16, and I was the only chap in the team who did not speak Hindi. I didn't know a word of Hindi. And it was a big handicap, because you went to England, we spent 6 months there. And I was almost sort of told in no uncertain terms, you better learn Hindi. And now sometimes I think about it and I laugh about it. I refused at that time. I said, I have no intention of learning this language. And we are still politically fighting the same battle today, after 70 years. So what I'm saying is, we were different people picked up from there and go as a team.
Yeah.
We're not a team.
Correct.
Particularly South India was in a bad position where that was concerned. Okay, that's the way life is, and that's the way the country evoked, and it took a long time. But I'm so glad that before even the political or the systems or the language of people, in sport at least, we have come together. Today I would strongly say we are one team, we are one country, which I couldn't say at the time I was playing. So I think it's a great sense of achievement even from a national point of view.
You made a very pertinent point about not playing as a team back then. There's this perception of cricket, of sport for that matter, being a great unifier, bringing all strata of the society together from every nook and corner, as you correctly pointed out. I'm curious to know what's the response of the country to this win. And I'm going backwards here. We'll talk about the match, but how did the country respond to this win? Did you feel that the nation was unified? Because it was significant on two accounts, as you mentioned, 5 years after independence, and we had beaten our colonial oppressors, so to speak.
Yeah, it was, well, as a nation itself, we could only think in terms of our state. Tamils were Tamils.
Yeah.
They wanted Tamil people. Maharashtra wanted Maharashtrians. And Maharashtra was the dominating state at that time, and if they could have all 11 from there, they would have been very happy. So, but the nation was aware of this. In fact, since you raised this question, the first time I got picked I played an unofficial test in Kanpur against the second Commonwealth team. And I was nowhere in the picture at the time. I got picked for the All India University, combined universities, to play the visiting Commonwealth team in Calcutta. I made 93 runs there. Then they came to Chennai, Madras at that time. Those days they played Governor's 11. So I made 85 runs. I was not in test reckoning. And a lot of scribes, a lot of press report, journals, who traveled with the team, who came from England, including the manager of the team, George Duckworth. In fact, he was writing for the Sport and Pastime at that time, a weekly column and all that. In fact, he had written, it was the headlines in the Sport and Pastime, after watching me in Calcutta and Madras, the best exponent of the square cut in India is what George Duckworth had written, because I got a lot of runs off that. Now, it was I was not in the test team, and there were a lot of write-ups and saying he's India's standards and he should be in the test side. And why I'm saying this is one English journalist wrote and said, we understand that so long as it is in Madras, he won't get a chance to play for India. We would suggest that he moves to Bombay to get picked for India. So you can imagine how the perception was that unless you lived there, you're not going to get a fair trial or fair pick. So, and this was, it was not a secret. It was open. Everybody said, no. In fact, some friends of mine said, why don't you move to Bombay? Yeah. But then you say, okay, everything at that time. I had done my graduation, my master's. Cricket was not everything for me. Cricket was a sport for me. I enjoyed playing. I loved playing the game. And I played for sport. So I was going to shift myself somewhere just to get picked for, it. So with all that pressure, I got picked for the last test in Kanpur.
Okay.
Yeah. There also, I did quite well. Mind you, every one of these matches, I was number 8. And in Kanpur, in the test match, I got a 66 not out. I had a partnership with Mushtaq Ali. And, but then, you see, when you're batting at number 8, there are only 2 situations that are facing you. One is 350 runs for 6, in which case declaration is around the corner. And what you are going to do, like what happened in Madras at the time, in this test that we... so you have to get on with it. And in any case, you are batting with number 9 and number 10 and number 11. So you haven't got much of a hope. Or the side is collapsed and you're 130 for 6 and you're struggling to just keep the inning going. Again with tailenders. Yeah. So I that test match in Kanpur, I got 66 not out. So I virtually, in fact, frankly, if you ask me, up to that time, in my own mind, how do you play the international bowlers and all that sort of thing? The first time it dawned on me, yeah, I can handle this. Okay, Sunny Ramadhin, who was a mystery bowler from West Indies. There was Frank Worrell and various people. So it was a matter of, you know, where you came from, and from that point of view, today we are in a great situation where we, at least in sport, at least in cricket, we play as a national side, and we are proud of playing for India. So that's my comment on that.
But moving on to the 1952 the Test match, it's been talked about every year. It's been, as I mentioned earlier, almost 70 years now. So first things first, do you still get nostalgic and euphoric around the anniversary, or after all this while is it a day that sort of, you know, comes and goes?
No, I remember this test all the time, because as I say, on the last day, I took the last catch near the boundary line, just in front of the MCC pavilion, which brought us victory. To me, I say to me, I'm so grateful that I had this opportunity to do that. And again, I mean, the first test victory, and to be part of that, whether you played a bigger role or a smaller role or whatever you did, I mean, it's something I would consider my highlight sort of thing. Not that I scored a lot of runs, but just to participate in it was a great feeling. And I've got pictures of all, a lot of this in my Kunu house. And every time I see, I think, oh my God, that test,
So it's heartwarming. I was, while researching for this particular interview, I came upon this trivia about you being the youngest member of that squad. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. I think you are right. I think you are right.
These days, there's a lot of talk about dressing room atmosphere and the camaraderie between senior guys and the junior guys. So, what was it like for you to, share the dressing room with the likes of, say, Lala Mannath or Vinu Mankad?
I mean, for me, people like Lala Mannath and Mushtaq Ali were like idols, that you only watched on from far away, and you only heard about their achievements on the radio. Now, we didn't have television at the time. To me, they were like semi-gods. I mean, and to be honest, I've been very lucky. I never, from the time I started playing cricket, I never at any point of time said, I want to play for India. That thought didn't even enter my head. I played cricket because I enjoyed that game. A lot of people don't believe it. I never played cricket till I was 17. I played hockey, I played football, I played tennis. I never played cricket. It's a kind of a strange thing that happened. I joined Madras Christian College in Tambaram. I was in boarding there. They have halls, and I was in one of the halls. And I was playing tennis those days. I was playing tennis for the college.
Okay.
And early when I joined as a junior, I joined the BSc in physics.
Yeah.
It just so happened all the college team cricketers, including the captain, were all in my hall.
Okay.
And one day, fairly at the beginning of the season, the captain said to me, come to the nets this evening. I said, for what? He said, to the cricket nets. I said, I can't play cricket. I've never played cricket. I'm not going to. No, you come. Of course, those days in boarding places and all that, if a senior tells you, you jolly well do it. Otherwise, you are in trouble. So I went to the nets. They put on gloves for me, put on pads for me. I knew the game. I used to follow the game. I understood the game. They used to put me behind the wickets and say, you stop every ball that passes the batsman. That's how I started when I was 17. And it just so happened, I didn't get picked because I was good enough. I got picked because the whole college didn't have another wicket keeper. There was nobody to keep wickets. So they had to find some guy who would be willing to do this. So that's what I did. And those days we played intercollegiate matches among all the colleges in Chennai. One or two matches, the opening batsman was failing very badly. He was making 0 and single-digit scores. So the third match, the captain said, you go opening. I said, look, I'm terrified. I don't know how to play the old ball. How am I going to handle the new ball? I can't. I've never tried. No. You put on pads, you go opening. As luck would have it, I made some 70 runs. Don't ask me how I made, because I didn't know the basics. I didn't know. I don't think at that time I understood the basics, the fundamental things that you had to do. Because probably I had good eyesight and fairly quick reflexes, I managed to good. And so I was next match again opening batsman. I scored another 60 runs, and I became college opening batsman. Okay. That's how I entered cricket. So I was not, and to be honest, as I said, I didn't have a goal, or I didn't say, like today you would say, I want to play for India, I want to do this. I didn't have such a goal, because at that time you wanted to play sport. I played hockey in school, football in school. I played cricket, and cricket was a fascinating game. I played cricket, and that's how I got into the cricket side. And a lot of people don't believe that I played my first test match when I was 20. I started at 17, and I myself don't know. But in the interim, I got coached by an Englishman from Sussex, Bert Wensley. When I made a lot of runs, they selected me for being coached. And I would go from the college. I used to get permission to be absent for the last class. I would put on my cricket boots in Tambram and go up to the station, go by train to Egmore, get off the train and take a bus to BS Nets in Chepauk, where Bert Wensley was the coach. He taught me how to play cricket. Till then, I was scoring runs. I was even picked for the Chennai Madras University. I played against Sri Lanka. I made 90 odd runs. I was scoring runs, but nothing, not in the right, correct way, not technically sound. He put me into a situation. He taught me how to play cricket, and then I was able to, with the other knowledge, and with he teaching me how to play cricket, I learned how to play cricket. It was so, as I say, I didn't have an aim, I didn't have a plan, I kept playing, and because I kept scoring, I got picked various places. That's all.
Right. It's fascinating the journey that you just mentioned in terms of not just how you started playing, but the whole process of strapping up your boots, taking a train to Chepauk and getting trained there, and that's for those who follow the sport, that's part of the romance of cricket, so to speak, right? The journey of a player, the journey of a team. So And ergo, how would you describe Chennai's evolution, or Madras then, as a host city? Because a few matches that were played at the Corporation Ground too. Chepauk then came along. Today, cricket discussions revolve around Chepauk. So how have you seen this city and the sport grow?
Yeah. Now, I would say, later on, after I was a member of the MCC. I was secretary of the club for, I don't know how many years, 5, 6, 7 years. I was president of the club also. And I played every Sunday, I played there. So I know the ground very well. And I would say it was one of the best grounds to play for both the bowler and the batsman. It gave an opportunity for both to do well. And as far as the Chennai Spectator was concerned, he was the most knowledgeable spectator in the country.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is an oft-used phrase, the knowledgeable Chennai crowd. And for those of us who've grown up watching cricket in the 90s, we hear about the spectators here cheering the Pakistan team for their good quality of cricket. So has it always been the case throughout the 50s and 60s?
It's always been the case. The whole country knew that when you go to Chennai, the Chennai Spectator understood the game, not many others.
Why is that though? Why do you think?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. Whether even at those days, the home of cricket was Bombay.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put them ahead of Chennai as far as understanding and appreciating the game. The Chennai Spectator knew if you defended for 4 overs, he won't boo you because he knows and he understands why you're doing that. Not many places can boast of that kind of understanding of the game. The people of Chennai, you can ask any cricketer over the last 50 years, he'll tell you Chennai Spectator is the most person who knows, understands, and appreciates the game. Plus, probably our other reason would be that, somebody would say I'm being very parochial, but Tamil Nadu, the person in Tamil Nadu, is a very hospitable chap. He appreciates something good from anybody. He doesn't say, I want only a local guy to score. I mean, he'll appreciate anybody if the performance is good, he understands the performance, and he will openly show his appreciation for something that is good. Another city that will come somewhere nearby is Calcutta. The Bengali Spectator loves the game, appreciates the game, and would appreciate a performance by anybody in the country without feeling he's a Bengali or he's an honor. But I won't say the same thing for many other parts of the country.
And I'm a Bengali, so I'm curious to know this. Will a Bengali crowd come close to the knowledgeable Chennai crowd, or does Chennai still make the cut?
I would say understanding of the game Chennai crowd is But what I'm trying to say is the Bengali people that I've come across, they don't care where you come from. If they see some good performance, whether it's cricket, it's music, or art, or whatever it is, they appreciate it. They don't say, oh, you're not a local person, therefore they understand. But the rest of the country, I wouldn't take, if I were to score 100 in any other part of the country, I get a very reluctant applause. Right. But Calcutta, I love playing in Calcutta. One is Eden Gardens, a beautiful ground, and I've made runs there. So the first match, as I told you, I played there for the Combined Universe, made 93. After that, a Calcutta Spectator, I could do anything. But I was their darling. I could do anything. I could get out first ball, they would still support me. Because of that one inning, that first test I played my not first test, I played the combined. I played other tests, and I played my last test in Calcutta against the Australians. They're also okay under difficult conditions. I top scored with 40 runs or something in a total of 130 or something like that. But Calcutta, I'd love to play in Calcutta because they were very hospitable, very understanding, and very appreciative. And I would say, but as far as the knowledge of the game, I don't know how or why, whether I would say Madras was the, and even the foreign visiting teams understood that, knew about that.
Yeah, that shall remain a mystery, I guess. But right, so I couldn't help but notice that you've been belting out numbers throughout the interview. You know, about your last test, your scores. How do you remember? Because a lot of people, they don't remember the exact figures, and it's been a while since you've stopped playing. So what is it? Do you still read about your performances? Or?
Not really. Some of these things appear to stay in my head. I mean, not that I look it up or anything like that. I wouldn't be able to say exactly this score or that score. But by and large, to me, all these things, when I talk about it, I almost live in that at that time. It comes back, and it comes back. What happens? Why? What happened? Sometimes with great sense of glee, sometimes a bit sorry, sometimes but I just it just is in my head. I mean,
So,
mind you, a lot of other things that I should be having in my head doesn't go off.
But going back to the 50 Test match here, apart from you taking the winning catch in India beating England, is there any particular moment, anecdote that stayed with you that sort of continues to move you?
Yes, we batted first, and I think we made some 400 and something runs. I was number 8, and by the time I went, we were about 330 or something like that. When I went in, the captain very clearly told me that I'm planning to declare soon. Go there and score as fast as you can. That was my direction, instructions, was to go and get on with it and score as many runs as possible because I'm going to declare very soon. So when I went in, Umbriga was batting. I went in, started trying to really force the pace. And when I got out, I'd made only 35 runs, but I had 7 or 8 fours in that. And I was delighted because my favorite shots were the cover drive and square cut, and I got 4s off them. And my home crowd gave me standing ovation. Every 4 that went, all the stands erupted. And it was a great sense of feeling, being at home, your own spectators, they appreciate your shots and gave you all that support. Now, I continue to go for runs. And between Umbriga and I, we had a partnership about 90 runs. I remember about 90 something, right? And in forcing the game, in trying to this thing, I got out. But I was okay. I mean, this was my instruction. I was asked to force the pace, which I did, and I got back. Then what happened, which was a bit, what happened was, by then Umbriga had moved to his 70s or something. So the captain couldn't declare because he was in his 70s. He wanted to wait for him to score 100. And as you can imagine, everybody as they get near 100, it gets slower. You're more careful, you're more this thing. So it went on and on and on. I said to myself, why did I go and get out? No, I could have played like Paulie Umbriga. I might have made a few more runs, not just got out for 35. If I knew that declaration was not around the corner, maybe I could have made some runs too. So I was a bit disappointed that I forced the thing, and in forcing I got out. But anyway, he finally got 100, and then the declaration came in, and so on and so forth. Well, it was there, but it didn't make a great deal of concern or anything like that. Well, as I said, when we won the match, everything else goes out of the picture. So,
how because these days, the celebrations tend to be a lot more opulent for victories, and criticism is meted out in equal measure. But how was, what was the magnitude of celebration at the time within the team?
Good question. We won the match, we went back, we went to the dressing room, and everybody said, well done. And that was the celebration. And we all went back home. You see, two things that happened. In those days, teams did not stay together.
Okay.
We never stayed together. In fact, one or two people have asked me, what was your strategy to beat England?
Yeah.
I said, strategy? There's no such thing in our time. There were no coaches for batting or fielding or bowling or anything like that. Captain was everything. He decided what he is going to do, when he is going to declare. He was the one who decided everything. Then, in fact, people don't believe it. At that time, the teams were not together.
Okay.
Each one was billeted into somebody's home. I mean, okay, I was at home here, but every other player, Indian player and the English players, were staying in different people's homes. You only met about an hour and a half before the game at the ground. So there was no question of strategy, there was no question of celebration, there was no question of... And so there was nothing like that. Plus, I'll tell you something, the other thing that struck me nowadays was in those days, we were taught, or we were told, we were never demonstrative. You don't show your feelings outside. You see, today, somebody takes a simple catch. The whole team goes and hugs him and kisses him and lifts him and everything else. Nothing like that would ever happen.
So what happened when you took the winning catch exactly?
Nothing happened. Everybody clapped, and that was that. I mean, you see, those days our thoughts were, that's your job. That's what you're there for. Okay. If somebody held a very brilliant catch, somebody will say, well held. Captain might say, well held, or some player who's standing nearby say, good catch, well held. That was, today in human beings, football, chap scores a goal, what happens? He is running around the field like a mad chap. Everybody going and hugging. They fall over him and almost kill him, The whole this thing was, you don't show your inner feelings to the rest of the world. You hold it inside you, and you don't demonstrate for... Well, I'm not saying whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Okay, maybe it's a good thing, maybe. But so even your appreciation or even your celebration, you never, it's not like today champagne and everything else. No such thing ever happened those days. But I would say this of even English teams and so on, they probably celebrated. I'm not saying they didn't celebrate. But this outside show of celebration was never there. It was at a very low key. Somebody bowled a brilliant ball, somebody will say well bowled. That was the appreciation you would get, nothing beyond that. So that was the order of the day.
So sir, after your retirement, you obviously were the manager of the when India toured England in '79.
Yes,
that was also a very memorable series, especially the last test at Oval, were Gavaskar scored a double. So, and we almost won.
Almost won the match. Yeah.
What are your recollections?
It was great. We never thought we'll go that far. Okay, we went short by a few runs, I think 20 runs or 30 runs or something. But that was a great batting by Gavaskar Sunil. Right through he batted with the tail enders, everything. And in fact, almost at one point we thought we were going to win the match. It was a great it was a great performance by him. And to make 400 runs in the last day is something. That's why I'm so appreciative of this match in Australia. They made what, 300 and...
300 plus, yes.
In one day, on the last day, is a great achievement.
Correct. So, 20 years have passed since your retirement. You are now the manager of the Indian team in the 70s. You spoke about how back in the 50s, India entered a tournament or a series as an underdog. So by the time the Gavaskars and the Kapil Devs and basically the batch of 80s that would go on to win the World Cup had come in, did you feel that mindset change a little? Like, did you feel?
You see, by 79 we went for the World Cup. To be honest, for us, the strategy for 50 over, we hadn't evolved it at that time. England had started playing one-day cricket earlier, other countries started. We did not quite understand how, so we were in that kind of game, I think 50 overs or 60 overs, I can't remember.
60 overs.
60 overs. Our plans or how to handle the 60 overs, what to do, we felt you got to go and hit everything.
Okay.
Sixers and fours were the order of the day. And in fact, I remember very well a couple of places I was trying to impress on the team that rather than trying to hit out like that, we would achieve better results if we attempted one run every ball. You see, when this field is spread out to hit like that, and every hit like that was a risk taken. You might hit 2 sixes and then you get out. But taking one run by placing it here, there, you get 4-5 runs in an over. Plus, you'll get the odd bad ball, which you can always hit for a 4 or 6 or whatever it is. But I was trying to make the players understand that instead of defending it, defend it in such a way, push it here where there's no man or push it there. If the man is far away, just push it slowly and take a run. One run a ball would be a better way of achieving results. So, in fact, I got the permission from some of the grounds to have a mock thing for us on the off day. And I would get the team to practice this concept of one run a ball. We ourselves will put the field ourselves and batsmen. Now you try and get one run a ball. And I'll tell the bowler, you stop him from getting one run a ball. You know, like that. We did. So for us, one-day cricket was not very, we were still learning. An amazing 83, we go and win it. 79, we didn't have much of an idea how to play that game. And and then we played half a tour. I can't remember exactly what we did, but we didn't do all that well either. Yeah, it was quite honestly, it was hard work for a manager in England. When foreign teams come here to India, we appoint local managers for them. So the manager of the team had to call the local manager and say, I want a dentist day after tomorrow, it will be produced. But in England, you are completely on your own. The manager has to handle publicity, journals, press, finance, transport, hotel, everything on his own. It was real hard work. I never realized, because when they come as managers, yeah, it's very cool. Call the manager and say, so-and-so is not well, take him, let him see a doctor. There, you had to take him to a doctor. You had to take him to a hospital. Everything the individual managers will have to do. Not only the one day, even the series. It was tough work. Yeah, I needed a lot of rest when I came back.
Yeah. So before we wind up, sir, observations of domestic cricket, in India and in Tamil Nadu in particular, how has it evolved since you're playing this? Is it, has it gotten better? Is there still room for improvement? Of course, there's always scope for improvement, but what's your assessment?
I think it definitely got better. One of our earlier days, we were very prone to play fast bowling. And the main reason for that was because we had very few turf wickets. We played on matting. Matting is not a great wicket to play for a fast bowler to bowl on. And that too, when you went into jute mats, it was dead. Nothing would happen. And if you take Madras, there were only 2 turf wickets in the whole of Madras. One was MCC and one was Christian College in Tambram. All other matches were on matting wickets. And matting wickets doesn't sustain fast-paced bowling. And because therefore pace bowlers didn't come up, and therefore our batsmen couldn't take pace bowling. So when we went to play some West Indian fast bowler like Gilchrist or something, we were all at sea. And the other thing that slowly this fact got to be appreciated, and more. I'm talking the whole of the country. Before that, Brabourne Stadium had a grass wicket. Bombay Gymkhana had a grass wicket. Nowhere else. Like this, it was. My own view is, as grass wickets came into the picture, our fast bowlers had some chance of doing, and therefore our batting was able to cope with fast bowlers. And what one has to remember is, in that time, the big change in cricket. In fact, I quite often say this, that to compare a cricketer of 40s or 50s to a cricketer of today is very unfair. Because when we played cricket in the early days, there was no such thing called a wicket being covered. All wickets were open, through rain, through sun, through whatever happens. And particularly in places like England, where it can rain for 15 minutes and stop. And the wicket gets wet and starts drying. And playing on that wicket is a different game altogether. And the wickets were never covered at night, nothing. So the big change in the game, in the method, in the ability to play the game, was a change from uncovering of covered wickets. Now it doesn't matter where it rains. 3 days before the match starts, the wickets are covered and the wicket itself is perfect. The other big difference is the helmets. We didn't have helmets. And on a wet wicket or a drying wicket, to face Truman or somebody is not funny at all. From a good leg, the ball just comes into your face. So it was a totally, today you are protected from head to foot. And the confidence that you're not going to get your ball into your face, it means a lot today. Before it was not like that. I mean once I hooked a bouncer, I missed it, I got hit here, or the eye, or whatever. Everybody got hurt like that. I mean, so that made a big revolution in batting. And before that, particularly Gilchrist and Hall and people like that. And guys like Gilchrist will tell you, I'll see that you're carried in a stretcher. That's his taunting you.
Yeah. The sledge.
And he would bowl not bouncers but beamers.
Yeah.
And if you gave him the option of bowling somebody, getting their stumps out, or hitting you, you'd prefer to hit you. That was his pride, sort of, I got him, I hit him here, that kind of thing. So those two things, a big change in cricket, uncovered wickets and protective gear.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Subscribe to Sports Star Podcasts so you don't miss the other installments from this series. We catch up with the likes of Farooq Engineer, Karsan Gavri and many others, so subscribe and press that notification icon to keep up. Log on to www.sportstar.thehindu.com for our other podcasts and multimedia offerings. Stay safe, stay healthy.